In My Cheating Wife's Darkest Secret, Should I Take Her Back?, the story reaches an emotional peak as Jack uncovers a shocking truth about Emma. This chapter blends heartache with revelation as Jack confronts the hidden depths of his wife's past. Faced with a decision that could change their lives forever, Jack must navigate a labyrinth of emotions and past wounds. As layers of Emma's character are revealed, the chapter challenges notions of forgiveness and understanding. The ending leaves you at a crucial juncture, eagerly anticipating the resolution of Jack's tumultuous journey through love, betrayal, and the possibility of reconciliation. Chapter 6. My Cheating Wife's Darkest Secret, Should I Take Her Back? There comes a time in every man's life when he has to face the truths he's been running from. For me, that time was now. The revelations about Emma, my wife, had been pouring in like a relentless storm, each one testing the limits of my forgiveness. And just when I thought I had seen it all, the biggest bombshell was dropped, changing everything I thought I knew. Emma had reached out again, her voice a tremulous whisper over the phone. "Jack, we need to talk. There's something you don't know, something important." Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken secrets. We met at our old spot, a quiet bench overlooking the river. It was a place that held so many memories, a sanctuary of sorts for both of us. Seeing her there, wrapped in her coat, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, I felt my resolve waver. This was the woman I had loved, the woman I had shared my life with, and yet she was also the woman who had shattered that life into a million pieces. "Jack," she began, her voice barely audible against the gentle rustle of the river, "there's something I've never told you, something about my past." I listened, a tumult of emotions churning inside me. Emma spoke of her youth, of a time filled with mistakes and missteps. She talked about a darkness she had battled, a part of her life she had kept hidden from everyone, including me. It was a tale of personal struggles, of battles fought in silence and solitude. As her story unfolded, I saw a different side of Emma, a side I'd never known. It was like looking through a window into a part of her soul that had been locked away. And in that moment, I realised how little we sometimes know about the people we love, how many layers there are to a person's life. The revelation shook me to my core. It cast a new light on everything that had happened, painting her betrayal in shades of grey I hadn't considered. I could see the pain in her eyes, the weight of the burden she had been carrying all these years. But understanding her past didn't erase the hurt of her betrayal. It didn't mend the broken trust or heal the wounds that her affair had inflicted. I was torn between sympathy and anger, between the desire to comfort her and the urge to turn away. The conversation lingered long into the evening as we delved into parts of our lives we had never shared before. It was a raw, painful, but strangely intimate exchange. And when it was over, I was left with more questions than answers. Should I take her back? Could I forgive her, knowing what I now knew? It was a decision that weighed heavily on me, a crossroads that would determine the course of my life. And then there was Sarah. Our connection had grown stronger, our bond deepening with each passing day. She had been a lifeline in my darkest moments, a source of strength and understanding. But could I move forward with her, knowing the unresolved feelings I still harboured for Emma? I was caught in a web of emotions, each strand pulling me in a different direction. Love, betrayal, forgiveness, anger. They were all tangled up inside me, a knot I couldn't seem to untie. As I grappled with these thoughts, another twist was thrown into the mix, a chance encounter, a piece of information that threatened to upend everything once again. It was as if the universe was testing me, pushing me to my limits. So there I was, standing at the crossroads of my life. The path behind me was littered with the debris of my broken marriage, of friendships lost and trust betrayed. The paths before me were shrouded in uncertainty, each step a venture into the unknown. And that's where I'll leave you for now, at the edge of this cliffhanger. My story isn't over yet. In fact, it feels like it's just beginning. There are choices to be made, truths to be faced, and a future to be forged from the ashes of the past. As I stand here, looking out at the diverging paths before me, I can't help but wonder, what does fate have in store for me? Will I choose the path of forgiveness and reconciliation? Or will I venture into new beginnings with Sarah? Or perhaps will I carve out a path of my own, one that leads to a future I can't even begin to imagine? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this journey, my journey, is far from over. And I invite you to walk with me as I navigate the twists and turns of this unpredictable road called life.